Hi guys, this is a 2015 Mazda 6. Unfortunately, I only started recording once I had injectors removed out of it, but it was a P0102 I'm chasing after, and I had an SCBS, Smart City Braking System fault, and I thought it was going to be engine based, but not. It's derived from, I thought it was going to be this camera or SCBS based issue, but it's not. It's an engine based issue. I'm only advised that there doesn't anything go wrong with them, and so I'm going after the engine based problem to see if it fixes it. So P0102 and SCBS forward malfunction. Okay, and from the injectors being disassembled on, I'm going to go through kind of step by step of what I done. Okay, this is only part one, so it's kind of not incomplete. We're going to be carrying on for another one. Watch it and give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe if it's any good. Hopefully it'll help someone on a Mazda. I had a kind of a bit of a, I didn't really know what direction to go to, but once I had it disassembled, I'm quite happy. Watch the video, let me know. Thumbs up and subscribe if you can. Thank you. Talk soon.
Okay guys, just to try and see, I used the bolts, these bolts that were holding down the injectors, to try and draw up the two injectors that were full of carbon. The two that hadn't any carbon were fine, but these two were seized in place. And what I done was I rounded up the bolt a bit, and then that pulled both bolts. I rounded up, loosened both bolts, and that pulled up the actual injector slightly, a little bit, just to crack it. And then what I was doing is I would go back in and I would place a spacer. What I was using was a spanner on top of them, and then I was bringing it back up again. I actually locked two nuts on the top so I could turn the bolts, but I'd put a spacer in one, and then the opposite one I would put two nuts on it, and I'd pull up the nuts, okay, just to make it crack or get a grip to get these things out now. But what I did is I had damaged the threads in here on one of the injectors. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm putting a helicoil in there to try and repair. I have run a tap up and down all the other ones, and they're, what we call them, salvageable, but I'm putting a helicoil in here. Helicoil is, I'm actually going to put in two helicoils. They are helicoils where I'll drill the hole a bit bigger, tap the hole a bit bigger, and then put in these. But I'm going to try and get in two helicoils in order for my bolt to sit back in again and get a grip. Now, what I have seen in here, and I've gone to the customer, and he has said that he's not going to do it. I have, sorry for the camera lads, I'm trying to get in to get you a visual on this. If you can see the camshaft, this is the exhaust camshaft, the lobes of the camshaft here, I don't know, can you see it? The lobes of the camshaft there are very worn, okay? It's after happening, you can see it actually in on this one there as well. Hard for me to get the camera at the right angle on it, but that is in a bad state camshaft. These little followers there, they're €237 plus the VAT each. There's 8 followers, but the normal camshaft ones are fine. It's just these ones in here that are gone. Now I was calling them rockers gone because the actual camshaft was so badly damaged, and it's on all 4 of them. It mightn't be as bad over here, but that actual rocker is very loose. The noise that I was hearing, I heard a noise from this, was coming from some of these rockers, and I put an image, an exhaust pressure pulse image that I couldn't make a massive amount of sense of into it, but I knew there was something wrong inside in the cylinder. But they're 237 quid each. Camshaft is €390. Man is not going to do it. He told me to put it back together, reassemble it the way it is. Not the way it is, but I'm going to get rid of the carbon issue here with the washers. 2 new washers coming from Mazda. I'll give you a look at the part number there in a second. he will still have an issue, and this could go kaput in a week's time. I'm going to pull off the sump, and I'm going to clean the gauze down the sump as well, stop any of this carbon that could potentially block the gauze in here. But for now, customer is not giving me the go ahead to change it. So you can look, they're the boss. I can only be the boy and clean it up, so I don't even know if I'm covered in dirt or what. I'm going to give you a part number just for the crack if you want. They've updated the copper washers that sit. They're not copper any longer. That sit underneath the injectors. There's a part number from Mazda. SH01-13-5H51. Right. They're gone from kind of copper to what do I call it? God knows. Anyway, for now, I'm going to get in the helicoil. I'm going to reassemble and just show you where we're going. But all this is caused by carbon buildup in the underneath the rocker cover in the crankcase. Then the exhaust or engine emissions getting into the crankcase, which was giving me a low airflow meter code. Now I have, as I said there, an issue with exhaust camshafts, but for now he's not going to do it. He won't spend, I was thinking about €2,000, 237 by 4,000 euros. Camshaft 390. There's plus VAT. There's 1,600 euros on parts, and you could be looking at about 400 euros and getting the camshaft out, time chain off, back in, and the rockers resolved. So he's not going to do that. He's only paying me to get this thing back together and going at this point in time. And as per usual, he's trading it in. Okay. Just to show as well, if I can, we have this little piece sits down on top of the camshafts. Oil actually feeds into one here and here. One of them could be a feed and one of them could be a return. There's little holes. We're not going to see it. Potentially not. You can actually see it slightly. There are little holes just here. I've cleaned these holes all the way along. The reason for the camshaft failing would be because these yokes getting blocked up with carbon. You can actually see it. I've cleaned it on this side a bit more, but again the holes are clear. Okay, so if you're reassembling this thing, just make sure you have oil getting through and out these holes before you actually put it back together. I blew air in one side, I blocked the other side to make sure they were clean, bit of brake cleaner on them and stuff. But yeah, that's one of the pointers that has made the camshaft fail. Okay, have it all reassembled. Unfortunately, I was putting it back together and I had to disassemble again, because when I was tightening down, this bolt pulled its threads and I had to do a makeshift job on one of the bolts. I took the makeshift bolt out and I moved it over here, hence a bit of sealer in there. Moved on to number 4 injector rather than number 3, but I had to take this apart again, and the helicoil was going in here. I had to put a helicoil in here as well. Terrible shame, I suppose, to have to reassemble the thing with camshaft issues, but I'm after putting it together. I have got it running. It's started and going. I'm just going to leave you here and just see what you, I don't know, might think it's ticking over quite high. It does that for the first maybe couple of seconds and settle back down then after 5 or 6 or 8 seconds. But you can hear the knocking noise. You can hear the EGR opens or closes or something then, and it fucking settles down. But you can hear the noise. It doesn't sound brilliant. I also hear a little bit of a misfire coming out of it. I take off my oil filler cap. I have a bit of blowback, a bit of air, but I don't have pop coming from my injectors, so I'm happy enough that they're sealed. I'm going to take off the sump, clean out the gauze as well. I haven't done it as of yet. I think this thing is going to go bang, but hence our job, I don't know, this is just where you stand, where lads don't go along, and I shouldn't probably even be putting it back together, because if it goes wrong I'll probably get the blame, but neither here or there.
causes of engine failure in Mazdas are blowback by the side of the injectors because of the copper washers are coming loose or wearing. Wicked hard job get the injectors out. It's going to give you airflow meter codes because we have burnt exhaust gas, compression stroke, whatever it may be, getting up into the crankcase, from the crankcase then up, out through this actual PCV valve here, out and into the air intake, which is going to reduce the amount of air going in here. And also, because of the exhaust valves that are worn in this thing, not the exhaust valves, the exhaust camshaft lobes, there's probably not as much time for an exhaust to be open to leave the exhaust gas out, which is going to reduce their airflow numbers as well. But anyway, watch that fault code and watch then the injectors. From there, all you can do is see where you go. Is that it? Hopefully it's going to help someone. Okay, just before we close her up, I suppose, here was our original code that we were chasing after. P0102 mass or volume airflow A circuit. Okay, all the other ones I've created, I've had intake air temperature sensor off, I've had the fuel temperature sensor disconnected, fuel rail pressure sensor, particle filter, pressure sensor, exhaust pressure sensor, crankcase, ventilation, heater control. I've had all these off, so it is that one that we were chasing after, was my mass airflow. Back away clear. I'm just going, come on, let's go into clear codes. Sometimes the differentiation between the camera and the scan tool can get you kind of googly-eyed, or not even that. Sometimes the camera can go wandering where it shouldn't. You're like, Jesus, what am I showing you? It's not very interesting. As I said, they're still jingling, but sure, look, there's nothing I can do about that at this point in time. Just what I'm trying to show is the P0102 code, just to where we went after. We also, and it does happen, the crankcase, not the crankcase, sorry, the intake manifolds can get blocked up as well. So maybe before you go in after the injectors and stuff, or that exhaust camshaft issue, because of a drop in oil pressure and camshafts being worn, just look at the intake manifold. Sometimes if you're doing that job, maybe take the intake manifold off first to see where you go. They can get blocked massively as well. So just in the airflow issue, intake manifold or blowback from the injectors or camshaft being worn, okay, restricting airflow. Thanks guys, talk to you soon.